Mascarade is a character-based bluffing game from designer Bruno Faiduti and Asmodee Editions.
In Mascarade, players use their character's powers to collect more gold than their opponents, but nobody's ever really sure which character they actually have. It supports from 2 to 13 players and lasts about half an hour.
At the start of Mascarade, each player gets 6 coins. The rest of the coins are placed in the bank in the center of the table next to the courthouse.
Next, the character cards are dealt out to each player according to the number of players. In a 4 or 5 player game, any unused cards are placed face up in the center of the table, while games with larger groups use as many cards as there are players. Now, once everybody's had a chance to look at the cards, they're all flipped face down and the game begins.
The first 4 turns of the game all work the same way. The active player takes their card and another card that's on the table, puts them under the table, and swaps them or not. The active player is the only player who knows whether these cards have been swapped. Now, no player is allowed to look at any card during this process.
After the first 4 players have taken that swap or not action, every player on their turn gets to take any one of 3 actions. They can swap or not. They can secretly look at their own character card, or they can announce which character they have and use their power.
When the active player announces their character, everyone else, in a clockwise manner, gets to call their bluff if they wish. To call their bluff, another player says that no, they in fact have the character card that was announced. If nobody calls the active player's bluff, then the active player can take that character action without revealing their card.
If one or more players claim the declared character, then everybody who said they were that character, including the active player, has to reveal their card. Whoever was actually that character gets to take their special action, while everybody else pays a fine of 1 gold to the courthouse.
The peasant, queen, and king all collect gold from the bank as their special action. If a second peasant card is revealed when a peasant is announced, then both of those peasant players get to collect 2 gold from the bank, not just 1.
The bishop takes gold from the richest player, and the thief steals from both of their neighbors. The inquisitor gets to interrogate one of their opponents, and their target has to announce which character they have and then reveal their card. If they're right, then nothing happens, but if they're wrong, then the inquisitor gets to take 4 gold from them. The spy gets to look at their card and another player's card and take the swap or not action. The fool takes 1 coin from the bank and gets to target 2 other players to swap or not their cards. The witch exchanges her fortune with another player's coins. The judge collects all of the fines that are currently sitting in the courthouse. If somebody has to pay a fine on a turn that the judge has used, then they do this after the judge has collected. The widow takes gold from the bank until her fortune reaches 10 gold, and the cheat wins the game once they've got 10 gold in their fortune. Any player who's not the cheat wins the game when they get 13 gold. If any player goes bankrupt over the course of the game, then the game immediately ends, and the richest player is the winner. So the rules of Mascarade work exactly the same for any game that has between 4 and 13 players. The 2-player and 3-player versions are advanced variants in which each player controls more than 1 character card. So Mascarade is a fun, big, interactive party game. Up to 13 players in this game, that's fantastic. That means that you can have a really big group over and have a great time with it. Very little downtime in this game because you're constantly reacting to what other people are doing on their turns. There is no waiting around. There's also a really nice element to it that even though you've got such a big group playing, or you can have such a big group playing, there's no player elimination. So if somebody goes bankrupt, well, the game's over and you can play again if you wish. Also, another thing that you notice as soon as you open the box for this game is the art on the cards is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Every piece is a work of art. Nice big cards too. So a lot of care has gone into the look of this game, and it's very much appreciated. One negative that some players may see for this game
is memory plays a really big part. So if you find that your strength is not in memorizing what card you have or what actions are going on around the table, and you have a hard time keeping track of that kind of thing, then you may find this game a little bit frustrating.
That memory challenge is going to be a particular issue in larger games of this. Once you get up above like 6 or 7 players, the game is extremely chaotic. It's very difficult to keep track of anything. It's intentionally designed to make you forget your cards. So everybody's going to be on a fairly level playing field in terms of the fact that nobody really knows what's going on. But if you're looking for a more deduction-based bluffing game, you're probably going to get super frustrated because there's just too much chaos for that to actually work. For players like that, I would recommend playing with a much smaller group. If you've got between 2 and 5 players, there's enough information out there and there's little enough action that you can still treat this as much more of a deduction game. Now, I absolutely love the chaos. I think that's where Mascarade really shines. This is supposed to be crazy. This is supposed to be chaotic. You're supposed to forget what's going on. Some of the best moments in the game are if somebody is absolutely convinced that they have a character, only to find out that they don't, and they never did, and that all of their plans have just exploded in their face. It really does have this great kind of carnivalesque party atmosphere, and it's a huge amount of fun to play. With all of that randomness, there is also some good tactical decision-making that happens. Just because it's chaotic doesn't mean that it's bereft of strategy. And there are some really interesting ways to use the different character roles, not only to get you closer to victory, but also to force the other players into making certain decisions, force them into reveal their cards. You might even kind of torpedo your chances of using an action to try to force other people into revealing if you think they have a particular card. So there's some really interesting kind of social manipulation that can happen in this game, and it works incredibly well at that level.